5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to Cultivated Live. I am Jay Rosenthal. I always point the wrong way. That is Ashwin Raj. He is the CEO of LeafLink. Ashwin, thanks for being here.
Jay, a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad we could. It's been a whirlwind for you. You've been relatively newly named the CEO of LeafLink. It couldn't come at a more interesting time. How has it been?
It's been a blast. I'm not from the cannabis industry, and I was told to expect the unexpected, and it definitely has lived up to its name, both within LeafLink and within the industry. But the first thing I have to say is I've been welcomed with such open arms, and everybody's been so amazing and gracious. It's been a treat to engage with customers and talk to participants in the ecosystem and learn from them. And internally, even our team has been so fantastic, and they're also passionate about this industry. It's been a roller coaster within LeafLink as well. We have a lot to address and change, and it's super exciting to be a part of this industry that is going through so much change on a daily basis. I'm like, wow, this is super cool.
I know. Well, it's interesting because you come from a lot. I want to ask about your background, but I know one in particular. You came from Lyft, LYFT, because here in Canada we had Lyft, which was a cannabis events company, but LYFT, which was, I'm going to draw some parallels, like regulatory changes all the time, launching new markets all the time. Like people love you or hate you all the time. Like, have you seen any parallels of any of that I just described that you can harken back to your history with?
That was actually one of the things that attracted me to cannabis, because when this opportunity came about, I was like, cannabis, wait, I never thought I would be working in the cannabis industry, right? But one of my friends whom I had reached out for advice was like, don't you remember that when you joined Lyft, ride sharing was illegal, across all the states, and you jumped in, and my passion is technology, and I love using technology, and technology put a lot of order into that chaos that was early stage ride sharing. And ride sharing, I have to say, is even more complex because the rules change every 20 miles or so. The San Francisco airport has a very different set of regulations than the city of San Francisco. And technology solves that, because now every regulator knows that you're complying with those requirements, the rules, and you abide by those rules. And I felt that could be the same case in cannabis, as not only just in cannabis products and the state-by-state regulations and the constraints around it, but as other products emerge, which we're now seeing right now today with hemp. So for me, Lyft represents a fantastic example of how a tech platform can bring a lot of confidence, order, acceptance and participation into an industry that just didn't exist. And today, nobody blinks an eye in pushing a button and a car shows up and you get into it. Even culturally, we were told, don't get into a car with a stranger, right? That was the thing. And now we don't mind because we know that Lyft and Uber are all doing the checks, doing the validations. You know that for the most part, obviously there are bad actors in every segment, but everybody is good because they're verified, they're validated. And I think we can bring that same level of confidence and trust into the cannabis industry as it makes its inevitable march to becoming mainstream.
Yeah, interesting. What are the other parallels that I hadn't thought about till you just mentioned it, and maybe it is a parallel, is that I have found in the cannabis industry, certainly on the sort of mom and pop shop level, that technology or being technology forward is not necessarily sort of native to those people, right? Like it's like either they were running old cannabis businesses before and technology was by intent not part of that, but also, they're maybe new at running a point of sale or joining up a LeafLink. Like they're not necessarily tech forward. And I wonder if that's similar to early drivers that were Lyft drivers or Uber drivers, like in rideshare, like getting to be super tech forward is actually quite important to the business of being a rideshare driver, but also to being a cannabis person, certainly on the retail side, like it has to be tech forward for all kinds of regulatory, but also operational reasons. Is there another parallel?
You're spot on, Jay, and you hit the nail on the head, because the early days, the drivers were coming in either because it was not a full-time job. The
Right.
gig economy that we are seeing today and what it's evolved to was very different, 10 years back. And drivers, you had to actually go to the local city, county, and then acquire drivers. You had to do it manually, and it was a effort. And you would put ads in various locations that they would see it. And over time, that evolved, right? And they knew how to access the platform. They talked to other drivers. All of this was facilitated by the platform. And then it got even more sophisticated, where now they knew how to get paid. Previously, it was all bank accounts and ACH, and they would get paid a week later, in which case they didn't have the working capital to pay for gas and groceries that they would need for the next day, right? And so from a platform, again, the Lyft specifically, what we used to do was we used to think about how do we solve this problem. And I think that's the same thing today, even in the cannabis industry, where retailers, we say they are not sophisticated, but if you take common technology is advanced so much. Everybody has a phone, everybody knows how to use it, everybody has access to websites. They're pretty familiar with it. It's just that it's not been applied and created in a manner that they can use it easily and simplify it for the retailers. So I do feel that retailers can move quickly along this technology value chain, and they'll be fast learners and they'll be fast adopters. And you can drive. A simple thing is, we have a big accounts receivable in the industry. That's because the retailers are either buying something that's not turning over as quickly, and they're not able to pay the suppliers. That's the crux of the problem. But technology can solve it. The technology can tell them which product is selling fastest and stock up more of that and stock up less of the slower selling products, and then help balance it. And then how do you find the products at the lowest cost? Where do you go? Which is what the LeafLink platform does, to give them the best products, the best selection at the best price offering. So, and do you do that on a website? Do you do that on an app? I think that can happen. And I feel that we have an important role to play to bring the participants in the industry along that journey and make them more educated, make them better at it, by giving them those tools in a simple, easy manner.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I hadn't thought about the parallels, and someone once made the parallels of selling snowboards early days to being a sort of cannabis retailer because of the stigma and you could make a lot of parallels because it's a pretty flexible thing, but it's new technology, new markets, new products, sort of all those things sort of fit that category. And I want to talk, you said it at the top, there's a lot to, I don't know if you use the word fix, but take into account at LeafLink. Talk about some of those things that you're looking to do sort of early days into your tenure, and sort of where the market is, and sort of the things you want to do. Is it making it easier for retailers to sort of bridge that gap you were talking about between inventory in, inventory out, make smarter inventory decisions? Is it about operationalizing some of those things? Like what in your mind are the most important things that LeafLink's mandate has right now?
Great question. And so one of the things that I found, which was a little different from traditional marketplaces, and as you mentioned, I worked at Lyft, I worked at Amazon. They are more buyer-driven marketplaces. So in the equivalent for us would be retailers drive a lot of those activities and sales. However, the cannabis industry is pretty unique, and it's a function of evolution in that it is a seller-driven marketplace. The operators and brands are the ones that are engaging with retailers, and they are driving a lot of the activity and transactions. And so from our point of view as LeafLink, what we're trying to do is we're saying we want to support the operators and brands, and we want to make sure that they're able to put up all their selection, display it in the right way, the merchandising, the order management, the sales process around it, We are the best at it, and we want to continue to be best at it. And then the inventory management efforts around it, because they also have their value chain that they need to deal with. They want to make sure that they're not out of stock for products that are selling well. They are able to replenish that. And then the cost management aspect. So that is our highest priority. We want to make sure this is working well for our operators and brands, and they feel that there is significant value in the platform. And then I think the piece that we are there, but we haven't put it as the top priority, is how do you create the search and discovery and the ability for the retailers to find the right product, the best product, and their inventory manager. I think that comes next. And you can see a shift slowly starting to happen. It's still primarily seller driven, but you can start seeing retailers getting more and more active, and that trend is going upwards. So I think it's still these two segments, but right now we are a little bit more seller focused than the retailer focused.
Yeah. And I wonder if you've had enough time where we're sitting here, maybe 3 or 4 days after what looks to be a hemp ban that may go into effect a year from now, but probably a lot of those days of the next 365 we'll learn new stuff too. But does that factor into, I mean, in your conversations, even over the past couple of days, how cannabis brands and retailers are looking at the next 365 days, or is it just too early to tell?
It is early to tell, but you can see the directional trend of how hemp is going to evolve. When I first came in, I was totally confused as to, wait, hemp is legal and cannabis is illegal? What is going on? But thankfully, regulations always catch up. They always have a lag, and they catch up, and we are seeing that happen. Hemp is getting corrected. It's going to become part of the mainstream cannabis licensing distribution model, which is great for our cannabis industry participants as well as other hemp participants, because it puts some structure and order into it. And we, as a platform, we want to enable all products for licensed participants to be able to transact and interact, knowing that they are doing the right thing, and regulators feel confident about it. So while hemp will unfold, I think it will still be up to the states to define regulations that work best for them. Minnesota is a great example. They've already taken that step by providing the license requirements across high potency, low potency hemp products. And and if somebody like a grocery store or a pharmacy wants to sell hemp products, they just need to go through the low potency retail license, and then they can offer low potency product. What this regulation needs to, that the regulation doesn't clarify, is they've set a lower limit on the THC content, like 0.4 milligrams. The states may set potency levels at different levels. So that's the only thing that will get worked out over the next year. So I feel that hemp will become an integral part of our platform going forward. And we see ourselves as being the best selection for any mix of these cannabis hemp products. We want to enable bulk flower for participants who are on the extreme wholesale side of things. We want to enable products from the wholesale to the retail side of things. And so we see that our role being that, and providing the guarantee of licensed participation, providing the compliance to regulatory requirements, and ensuring that all participants are then doing the right reporting, the right tracking from a seed to sale perspective. And that's the value we bring.
And then make sure people get paid, that you were talking about before.
People get paid. So that is a brilliant point. So this is, I know the entire industry realizes this, the accounts payable, accounts receivable issue. But this is a huge problem in the industry. And when I initially joined, a lot of, I was told, operators are okay not getting paid because they want to have the next sale of products. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like a very smart business idea to me, but let me validate this. And when I started talking to our customers, operators, and brands, they are very clear about it. They're like, no, this is a big issue for us. Please help us address this. And so the other part that we are working on, and we've done a bunch of payment products that try and address this problem, and we still need to evolve that. I don't think we are at a we don't have a perfect solution yet, but I think that this is one of the critical aspects of the industry that creates the trust. If you feel that you are not going to get paid, this doesn't work. And so so a platform like ours can help that guarantee. And spoke about parallels, and Lyft is a great example of this, right? Drivers wanted to make sure that they were getting paid, and then the subsequent conversations where they wanted a minimum guarantee payment, and Lyft was the first one that did this. They're guaranteeing a certain amount of revenues from a ride for each of these drivers. That is what every marketplace model, that's the underpinning of it. And so we need to make sure that we are creating a model whereby retailers can pay operators, and operators have the confidence that no matter what they're selling, they will get paid at a certain point in time.
It is brought down. Well, it's brought down companies for sure, but it is the crux of what California's challenges in California have been.
Absolutely.
And in some other markets too, but I live in Canada, and you always get paid because it goes in most provinces goes to the government first. Government pays, retailers pay. Nobody goes unpaid generally, but it is something that is certainly ripe for a fix or ripe for tuning, which is where I think a lot of what we were just talking about, it's sort of a LeafLink comes in, and it is a real challenge.
It's a huge challenge. The Canada model is pretty interesting, but obviously, the government has taken a stance in ensuring that this works. America has always been a free market model, and the market will figure it out, right? It just takes a little bit of time, but I'm super confident, and we have a team working on this, focusing on this. One of the biggest things that we've said as a priority for next year is, how do we solve this accounts receivable issue for the industry, and how can we facilitate it? We are obviously not going to go across all markets. We're going to test it out in a few markets, make sure that this model is working well. But we want to be able to give that confidence to operators that for any sale that they're doing, they will get paid, on a net 30-day, whatever the term is.
Right. Well, I appreciate hearing that, but also checking with you as you sort of elevated to the CEO role. We appreciate that. We're usually making time today. We look forward to connecting with you as things unfold. And thank you for your perspective and bringing your background to it as well. We welcome you with open arms to the cannabis industry.
Jay, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
We'll connect with you soon. Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye.